Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and yeah, weather sucks. More snow, April 16th today, and we're getting a whiteout, but welcome to Alberta. It's nothing new. It's spring in Alberta. So this is the update from the April 13th meeting. So the first one, we had a presentation in the Committee of the Whole meeting from the High River Performing Arts Foundation, and Dinah Van Donzel came and presented and just showed us what they're working on, what they've done, what they continue to do, and thanked council and the town for the support that we give them that provides free access for a lot of these music events they put on through the summer. So we're more than happy to help out there. And she also gave us a little update on where they're going with the new building and everything. Of course, it's a multi-million-dollar facility, so they're actively writing grants, and federally, provincially, there's not much, but probably federally there would be for something like this. So they're doing lots of that kind of stuff, and continue to seek out sponsors, donors. So if you go down to the venue, you can see on the gate leading into the venue and around the venue, all the community groups, community businesses, individuals that have sponsored the venue, and they're doing a fantastic job. So if you got a few extra bucks that you'd like to help out, they'd be more than happy to help spend that for you. So just get a hold of them. Dinah did a fantastic job. So next one we discussed was the community art pieces that are being proposed for a couple more, 2 or 3 more tree carvings, 2 in George Lane Park and 1 down by the new outdoor rink in McLaughlin Meadows. So I'll talk more about that when we made the decision in the council meeting in just a few minutes here. But we did have a good discussion in Committee of the Whole about the future of these tree carvings and where they should be. How many of these do we want in George Lane Park? You know, they're really cool right now. We love them, but I have got 2 comments that were interesting to me, but by people saying they don't want any more. So we just got to be careful of the balance here as to how many of these we put in one area. We got lots of areas with mature trees in the southwest. So the outdoor rink, there's going to be one directly on McLeod Trail, another one inside George Lane Park. But we've also got the Wallaceville areas that we can do some of these things. And even maybe in the Mercer Hughes, there's an old tree in there that could be carved up through those areas. So we just don't want them all condensed into one section of town. So lots of good discussion on that. So I'll go into the other pieces in a minute. Asset retirement obligation matter. So this is accounting standards that are put upon us by other organizations, and it's mandatory that we do these things. And what we have to do is have a program in place for the town of High River owned existing assets that defines the contamination remediation costs estimates for future remediation if, and the example that was used is the Memorial Center. If that building ever had to be decommissioned for any reason, these accounting standards, you have to list what the cost of any contaminants in that building would cost to remediate or get rid of. So if there's asbestos, vermiculite, insulation, these kinds of things. It's difficult to do, but Michelle and Jordan are doing a fantastic job trying to figure this one out and provide our program to these folks as to what's needed. It's complicated, it's expensive, it's not a sexy project, but it's important and it's mandatory. So you can't do anything about it. You just gotta spend the money and be compliant with their rules, so. Another one that was discussed is the council remuneration. This is talking about how much and what council gets paid and how we get paid. Lots of good discussion as to how that goes. It's never an easy topic for council to discuss because the political optics of it always stink when we talk about possible raises or extra compensation for some of these heavy committees that a few of our councillors sit on. But the fact of the matter is that these jobs take an enormous amount of time. They are part-time positions in the town of High River, and it takes time away from our businesses, it takes time away from our families and our personal lives, and compensation needs to be there and needs to be fair. If you don't have compensation, and it's not there and it's not fair, you will reduce the quality of candidates that you get to be running for council. And the most common comment that I get back when I tell somebody, hey, you should think about running for council, is you couldn't pay me enough. And there's a lot of truth to that. Like none of us are into it for the money. There's not enough money into it. So we're into it for the community and doing our best to move High River forward in the best way we see possible. But at the same time, yes, there is a lot of time that's spent in doing that, and compensation needs to be there. Of course, there's differing opinions as to how much and what level that is. Last year, this happened just prior to the nomination period and everything else, which I think the timing is absolutely ridiculous as to how we've been when we do these reviews. But we formulated a task force of outside of councillors, public members that reviewed other communities' compensation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's communities that receive double what we do. There's communities that receive less than what we do, or somewhere. That's how we try to figure out where we balance out here. So at that time, they said, yeah, no raises for council, and council agreed on that. No council is going to, or I shouldn't say no council, some would, but this council chose not to do a raise at that point in time, simply because that was the recommendation from the task force. But also, you are just about to put your name forward. Some of us were just about to put our name forwards into a nomination for the next election. Like, that would have been just one more thing added on to the election. Like, you're not going to do that at that point in time. So we need to have, now that we have the new council in place, we need to have a wholesome discussion about what our compensation looks like, where we land with other communities, and what's fair. Do we do a raise on salary, or is it just specific committees? We always talk about the West Winds group, the individual that sits on that committee. It's an enormous 400 page agendas that they have to read and be prepared for the West Winds meetings that are very long as well. It's a lot of extra time that you don't spend if you're on the museum board or Shepherd Family Park board. So do we compensate extra for certain committees, or is it a salary thing? Because everybody does different things, but everybody puts a lot of time into this. So that's where I'll end that. There's going to be a lot more discussion. We're reviewing the work that the task force did and what they came up with, and we're going to review what other communities look like. Maybe we will do something, maybe we'll keep it status quo. I don't know yet, but that's just where that discussion's going. Frontage build-out variance. This is for a development that is just east of the Co-op gas station in the south, right along 12th Avenue. And this brought up a ton of conversation with council as to what this building is going to look like. And it seems to be a pattern that we're getting into right now with where we have a lot of development that's coming to us. But it's not quite the standard of what we want to see and what we're expecting for the town. And it's not at all that we are against development in any way, shape, or form. It's just that development needs to look good for High River. It needs to be built properly. It needs to fit High River. Needs to fit with the land use bylaw. There was discrepancies in this application as to whether it did or it didn't. So we've sent this one back to administration to work through a lot of these issues on this development the council has, and to come back to us with more information in the future. But we are being very, very sticky on granting variances and these kinds of things, because, and I'll be very honest, when we're doing our land use bylaw review right now, when we did that land use bylaw, the mindset that we had was that we wanted to provide more flexibility for developers to be creative and not be so prescriptive that you must do this. We wanted to kind of open it up and let them do that. In our mind, we were hoping that would elevate design. And my personal opinion, that's not how it's working. It's providing an opportunity to, in my mind, degrade design with a lot of this stuff. So we are encouraging developers that let's elevate things, but also with our land use bylaw, I do think that, and certain other councillors talking with them, that we need to be a little bit more prescriptive and kind of guiding these guys as to what we see High River and what these thoroughfares look like and when you develop on them. Center Street is one, 12th Avenue is another one, and what do we want the buildings to look like? So lots of stuff going on with development and land use bylaw. Moving into the regular council meeting, the first thing that we decided on was the Family Resource Network application update. So Shelley and Michelle came and presented. There's a total of about $1 million that's available for our FCSS department to provide a home visitation program. This takes on a program that was being handled by another entity in town that is starting to wind down operations. So Shelley wanted to take this one on. There's a grant that pays for it. It adds another 1.3 FTE staff position. So they gave us a lot of information. I'm not going to go through it all. You can watch the presentation on YouTube if you wish, but we approved that funding, and or approved the application for that funding. So they're working forward to get that in place, and it's a very, very good program that Shelley and Michelle are working towards. The other one was the United Way grants. This is one that we do every year where Shelley comes and presents what grants were approved under the United Way and High River partnership. Funding is about $58,000 that gets broken out. Again, I don't have the exact amounts right in front of me, which is just fine. You can watch it on YouTube as to who got those. It's something we do every year. Community art, going back to these tree arts. So there's going to be a new tree art that's done by Darren Jones, who did the last sculpture in George Lane Park. I can't remember what that one's called, kind of the enchanted thing, something over in one of the community gardens. It's really cool, really well done. But he's going to do one over by the outdoor rink that depicts different sports and stuff on that tree. So that'll be cool. And then our famous Ron Schmidt, he's going to be doing another tree in George Lane Park and another one on at 725 McLeod Trail. So this is right on McLeod Trail in the southwest, right in front of the old Clark House. So he'll be doing one of them. So that'll be cool to watch those two come to fruition. Last one was an endorsement extension request to the Highwood Ranch subdivision. So this is for the Highwood Ranch in the northwest part of Spitzy Crossing development. So the first phase of this, the first project that's on the books right now, is on the very south end of that, on the south end of Cole Trail. So they just need an extension. They asked for 6 months. We gave them a full year to do that. There's still a lot that needs to be worked out with temporary servicing, et cetera, et cetera. The whole sticking part, anybody that's scratching their head, why isn't Spitzy Crossing development going? The whole sticking point is a cost-sharing agreement on future infrastructure and who pays for that. That is still not been agreed upon by all of the landowners. There's one or two holdouts on that agreement. The town simply works to draft the agreement as it working with all the landowners. It's still not decided upon by the landowner, so that's a lot of work yet to be done there. So before anything happens, and that cost sharing agreement is extremely important for all of the taxpayers in this town, so that development pays for development and not existing residents paying for future development. So that's about all we got. Enjoy the snow. +18 on Sunday. I don't know. Welcome to Alberta. Take care. Bye.